In the past 48 hours, the war has entered yet another brutal phase. Russia has unleashed a wave of coordinated attacks, some of the most violent seen in weeks. Yet amid the chaos and bloodshed, Ukraine is not only standing strong, it is fighting, back with precision, innovation, and determination. From the front lines in Kharkov to strategic drone strikes deep in Russian territory. This is a war that's being shaped not just by firepower, but by resilience, tactics, and international will. Tonight, we break down the latest battlefield developments, drone technology, shaking Russian logistics, and growing pressure on the global stage. Stick with us. Let's begin in the south. On the night of July 21st, Russian forces launched a multi-pronged assault across several Ukrainian regions. Odessa was one of the first cities hit. Drones screamed through the skies just after midnight, followed by the terrifying whistle of guided bombs. Then came the air bombs, massive 250-kilogram munitions meant not for military targets, but urban, civilian areas. Entire apartment blocks were shattered. Cars burned, a supermarket was hit. At least 10 civilians were injured, several in critical condition. Emergency responders worked through the night, pulling people from rubble and carrying out the wounded. In Kramatorsk, the devastation was worse. A Russian air bomb struck directly into a residential neighborhood, destroying a home and killing a 10-year-old boy. His mother and sister were found badly injured. There were no military facilities nearby. This was not a mistake, it was a calculated act of terror. Civilians are being targeted with weapons designed for battlefield destruction. Sumy region saw similar horror. Russian jets dropped multiple guided bombs on civilian infrastructure, a school, a health clinic, a children's playground. The timing of the strikes mid-morning left dozens of residents exposed. Several more children were wounded. This is Russia's pattern. Strike where people live, work, and sleep. Inflict fear. Break morale. But each attack only hardens you. Resolve and strengthens its right to strike back. Across the country, Ukrainian air defenses were activated again and again. In Kyiv, Vinnytsia, and Ivano-Frankivsk, the sound of explosions and sirens continued into the early morning. Ukrainian anti-air systems managed to shoot down most of the incoming drones, preventing a broader tragedy. But the skies are becoming more dangerous. Russia is deploying drones in greater numbers and with new tactics. Some are launched in waves. Others arrive just minutes after the first to exploit reload times in Ukrainian batteries. In some regions, Ukraine's missile stocks are running low. This is why Ukraine continues to ask for and receive help from international partners. Air defense remains the top priority in every meeting with NATO and EU leaders. Because for every missile that's intercepted, lives are saved. But for everyone that gets through, more families are left in ruins. But Ukraine isn't sitting idle. The Ukrainian counteroffensive continues not with mass tank charges, but with surgical high-impact strikes on Russia's infrastructure and logistics. In one of the most significant hits in recent weeks, a Ukrainian drone strike reached the Novokybyshevsk petrochemical plant in Russia's Samara region. This facility is one of Russia's largest petrochemical producers and an important cog in the military-industrial supply chain. Damage to this site sends ripples through fuel production, vehicle maintenance, and even chemical components used in ammunition. Ukraine's drone operators used new technology to carry out the mission. Fiber optic FPV drones that are completely immune to Russian electronic jamming. Unlike traditional drones that rely on wireless signals, these are controlled through thin, high-strength fiber optic cables, allowing for precise steering and targeting even in the most jammed areas. Ukraine's Minister for Digital Transformation, Mikhailo Fedorov, confirmed the deployment of these drones and hinted at more advanced systems in development. This technological edge is proving to be one of Ukraine's most effective tools against a much larger enemy. The Russian army continues to bleed. In just 24 hours, Ukrainian forces eliminated over 1,090 Russian troops. That brings the total number of Russian soldiers killed or wounded since the full-scale invasion to more than 144,000. Here's what else was lost in a single day. 1 tank, 7 armored personnel carriers, 43 artillery systems, 27 operational vehicles, 5 multiple rocket launchers for electronic warfare stations, 1 helicopter. This is not sustainable. Even Russia's massive reserves of manpower and machinery are being stretched thin. According to Western intelligence, Russia has begun pulling equipment out of long-term storage and even reactivating World War II-era ammunition plants. The Economist recently reported that over 30,000 Russian troops have been killed just since May 2025, the deadliest stretch of the war so far. Even if Putin won't admit it, his army is breaking down from attrition. In the northeast, the Kharkov region remains one of the most volatile fronts. Russia's goal here isn't necessarily to capture territory, it's to draw Ukrainian forces away from the critical Kupiansk and Donetsk sectors, but Ukraine isn't taking the bait. Instead of mass reinforcements, Ukrainian commanders are relying on local battalions. drone strikes, and partisan activity to bog down Russian advances. A key Ukrainian drone strike this week hit Kamenska railway station in Russia's Rostov region. This is a major hub for military and passenger trains. By targeting it, Ukraine has delayed the delivery of munitions, fuel, and reinforcements headed to occupied Donbass. Meanwhile, reports from Tula suggest partisan groups have sabotaged rail lines and communications towers, further complicating Russia's logistics. Ukraine's defenders in Sumy and Kharkov are holding fast. Despite limited resources, they are fighting street by street, trench by trench, to keep their communities free. If there's one area where Ukraine has a consistent edge, it's in unmanned aerial warfare. Ukrainian FPV drone teams are disrupting Russia's frontline strategy on a daily basis. Each FPV drone costs about $400, $700. Yet they are taking out tanks, armored vehicles, and even heavy artillery. This week alone, 10 Russian vehicles were destroyed along the Novo supply route. Russian forces have begun installing anti-drone nets and deploying jamming units, but these defenses are often too late or ineffective. Ukraine's drone pilots now operate with real-time intelligence, feeding target data across command networks that allow for simultaneous strikes from multiple directions. In Donetsk, the 59th Ukrainian Brigade has made significant progress near Russian troops attempting to form a pincer movement around Pokrovsk and Kostiantynivka have been repeatedly repelled by drone strikes and mobile artillery. This is the future of warfare, not brute strength, but agility, tech, and precision. While battles rage on the ground, a different kind of war is unfolding in diplomatic chambers. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen recently urged European allies to join Washington in enforcing tighter sanctions against Russian oil buyers. The message is clear: secondary sanctions are on the table. These would punish third-party nations or companies that continue to buy sanctioned Russian energy products by slapping them with tariffs, restrictions, or even banking bans. Donald Trump's administration has issued a 50-day ultimatum. Either Russia agrees to a ceasefire, or tougher tariffs up to 100% will be imposed on countries still importing Russian oil. President Zelensky welcomed the move, saying, "The Russian economy must feel the full cost of this war. We thank our partners for moving towards secondary sanctions. It's time to close every loophole. Now, let's talk diplomacy." This week, Istanbul may host the next round of Ukrainian-Russian talks. Turkish media reports that both delegations are preparing for a short symbolic meeting, possibly July 23rd to 24th. What's interesting is Russia's sudden interest in appearing open to peace. Some say it's a message to Donald Trump, who has hinted at favoring a brokered ceasefire. But most Ukrainian officials and observers see it for what it is: a trap. Russia wants to delay, distract, and divide international opinion. Ukraine is participating only to show the world it's not the one refusing peace. Expect no real breakthroughs, just discussions on prisoner swaps and maybe humanitarian corridors. But if Russia offers unrealistic terms like keeping occupied territory, Ukraine is prepared to walk away. Back in Russia, control over its own citizens is tightening. All government employees are now required to install a new app called Max, state-developed messenger platform that tracks almost everything. Sources say Max can access your phone's microphone, front and back cameras, GPS location files, and internal memory app usage statistics. It's not just a messenger, it's a surveillance tool. Even WhatsApp and Telegram, once considered safe, are now viewed as suspicious by the Kremlin. Only Max is trusted. The goal is clear: total control. Dissent, leaks, and even private messages are now monitored. The surveillance state is no longer official policy. In these trying times, Ukraine stands as a symbol of resistance, not just for itself, but for every nation that believes in freedom, dignity, and sovereignty. Russia may have more weapons, more soldiers, and more money, but Ukraine has something stronger: purpose, innovation, and the support of free nations. We'll continue to follow every front, every update, and every act of courage. If you value the truth, support Econo Academy, like, comment, and share this report, and make sure the world keeps watching.